Basketball season is right around the corner, which means the return of Hoop Talks. Noor, Zainab, Justin, Pooni. We missed all you guys. Now, today we're going to break down something new the NBA is adopting this season. I don't know if I'm a big fan of it, but the NBA in-season tournament. So, for all of you that don't know, we're living under a rock or just forgot about basketball, this new in-season tournament will feature 3 groups of 4 teams from each conference, and the winner of each group will automatically qualify for the quarterfinal round, and then there'll be 2 wildcard teams, one from the East, one from the West, and that will be the best second-place team from each conference. Okay?
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
You got it, Noor? Okay, I know it's a little bit... Okay, so now the finals will be in December in Las Vegas, which, again, is a good litmus test and a good, barometer to see if the NBA will work in Vegas, which I think we both agree the NBA is going to work in
100%. Vegas is the new spot for all sports. Yeah. I was just there in April, and they're getting themselves ready for MLB, for F1. They're about to bring in an F1 course, I believe, and an NBA team. Yeah, exactly.
They have the Stanley Cup champions.
They've got the WNBA champions there as well, and all they're missing is just that NBA team, and I think it's about time.
They're hosting the Super Bowl this year too. Look, so hey, can't go wrong with it. Now,
it is hot during the NBA season. Maybe not hot, it's a good temperature.
Yeah, I mean, but it's hot in
so
LA.
Nice.
It's hot in Florida.
Okay,
I'm just saying, it's hot. It's hot in a lot of places. Now the other thing is there's going to be some money involved because, of course, it's the NBA. The winning team each player gets $500,000. The losing team, I think they get $200,000.
The runner-up,
yeah, they get $200,000. Excuse me. So Noor, let's focus with the Toronto Raptors though first. Okay, the Raptors are in East Group C, which of course features the Boston Celtics, the Brooklyn Nets, the Toronto Raptors, of course, the Chicago Bulls, and the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, let's bring up their schedule.
Yeah, let's pull up their schedule right now too. So look, so these games are actually going to be regular season games, but they also count for the in-season tournament as well. You see that a lot in the WNBA as well. So they're gonna. I think it's through 11-day stretch. They play 4 games and against these opponents, and then they'll figure out the group standings. Right. When I look at this stretch right here, not only is this important for the in-season tournament, but it's also gonna be important for the Raptors in the regular season and playoffs positioning because they're not a difficult group. Right, I think Boston, we all know, is one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, if not the best team in the Eastern Conference. I think the Brooklyn Nets will be, just as good as they were last. Remember, they lost Kevin Durant, they lost Kyrie Irving, but they still made the playoffs under Mikal Bridges, right? And I think they're just going to take the next step. I think we're seeing Mikal Bridges take that next leap into becoming a star player. He kind of has his own show, and I think Jacques Vaughn is a very good head coach. The Chicago Bulls, the team that the Raptors lost to in the NBA play-in tournament last season, they'll be in that group. DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Nikola Vucevic, no Lonzo Ball, of course, still going to be out with the injury. And then the Orlando Magic, who have a lot of young talent. I don't know if you've been watching Team America prep for the FIBA World Cup, but Paolo Banchero looks really, really good. So, do you think the Raptors have any chance of getting out of this group?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that the one that they will have to dethrone here is going to be the Boston Celtics, and it's going to come down to a prayer, a toss-up, a miracle for the Raptors to kind of take over that, because Boston, again, we know what that team is. They're a powerhouse. They did let go of Marcus Smart, my beloved man, but they brought on Kristaps Porzingis, which I think is going to be more trouble for the Raptors because as a great of a player and as a pit bull that Marcus Smart was, Kristaps is going to be a problem in the height department. The Raptors have kind of struggled there, and Boston Celtics realized what their problem was in the past, where they were maybe a little bit too short for other teams, but they brought on that length now to match the powerhouses of the Eastern Conference, and I think the Raptors might struggle there. I wonder if the Boston Celtics have even gotten better with bringing Kristaps on. It's about to be seen because they both provide such different things to that team, with Marcus Smart leaving and bringing on Porzingis. But I think, again, like I said, Chicago is a great team as well, but the Raptors, if they wanted to, I think they could win that if the team is intact. Brooklyn, same thing. Orlando, same. But Boston, I would say, is the only one I'm looking at where I'm thinking, well, that might just be a loss.
The Raptors have no chances coming out of this group.
I mean, I think but the other part of it too is what if those teams are not taking these games seriously yet, right?
That was my next question. I don't think again, injuries are going to be a big factor. You mentioned Porzingis; he's hurt right now, right? I'm worried about the teams really care about this in-season tournament. Do they really care, right? If I'm the Toronto Raptors, look, I'm at a stage of we'll see who's on the roster come opening night. We'll see who's on the roster come November, right? Whether that's through injuries or what a Pascal Siakam trade. Maybe OG Anunoby gets traded too. I don't know. Whatever.
Why are you just throwing names in there? Nobody even
stick. We still didn't see the Gary Trent.
Siakam's still here.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, it's gonna be interesting to me to see does this in-season tournament work, because I'm not a big fan of it. Right? I don't think it's gonna work. I know you're a big fan of it because it's going to be in Vegas. It's going to be in Vegas.
No, it's not because it's going to be in Vegas. I mean, that definitely helps. Not going to lie to you. Like
December,
but why is it
going
to be
Vegas,
I love it, guys. Stadium Swim, check it out. Best spot to watch a sport in Vegas. By the way, sponsor me. Anyway, I like this because it's giving players, teams, and fans a reason to try and watch in November. NBA season is a very long season. There's a lot of games to be played for all these players. So we've found, especially in the past, where we know as an avid NBA watcher, during the October to like January time,
it's NFL time.
Okay, come on, be a real fan. But it's not like as exciting because no one thinks that, okay, this is the time for us to really take matters into your hands. Because even if you'll watch a team or a player perform super well up until that point, and then the second that right after the All-Star break comes around, you're like, where was that player that was here 2 months ago? Because at that point, that doesn't matter if you can't continue to be that consistent. So I think this at least shows you that there's a reason to watch these games. There's a reason for you to be invested. And I think there's nothing wrong with it because they're not doing anything that's adding much to it. You're only adding one extra game to the season. You're going to have these games in November anyway, in the regular season regardless. So all they did was make the games that they were going to play anyway and make them competitive, give them a reason. And personally, I think maybe not immediately, but down the line, this could become something that players associate their accolades with, where you could say, well, I won the in-season tournament. Well, I was the MVP of my team during that. And for teams that, maybe get a second win towards the halfway of the season can say, well, like, I actually was dominant throughout the entire season. I was there in the finals, or I won the in-season tournament, and then I went on to win the NBA championship, or I was the MVP here, and I was the MVP of the playoffs. Like, those things are going to matter down the line. And let's not forget, the money incentive is massive. $500,000 for each player. It may seem like it's nothing to you, but think about those young guys.
For me, it's something. I'm talking about for guys like Jaylen Brown, who now make over $50 million a year. Right?
Yeah, of course. That's nothing compared to what he's making, but there's still guys on his roster like Derek White. Those players who will not get a contract like that one day can play for things like this, and it accounts for something. For me, I just don't see the downside. Where's the downside?
I think it's cool that it's going to be in Vegas. I think it's cool that it's going to be, I think, the quarterfinals are December 4th and 5th. Then there's the neutral site semifinals and finals December 7th, and the finals are December 9th in Vegas. I think that's going to be awesome. I think that's going to be really cool. It'll be something that we're all going to watch, of course. But I just think, like, NBA players, right, their main objective is to win the Larry O'Brien trophy, win an NBA championship. I don't know how much people really care about this in-season tournament.
About the All-Star game as well. But again, about all those things, right? And then down the line, those ended up mattering because it's not just about in that moment. It's about down the line where these players care about their accolades, and these teams who may not get a chance to win something down when it comes to the final stretch of the NBA, they can do something here. Maybe the greats won't participate, but maybe the younger teams will, like the Orlando Magic, like the Pistons, and though they will get a chance to put their name, put their face out there, and make something of themselves. So I think, like, if you're gonna have the same exact season, pretty much, you're only adding one extra game. You're only going to Vegas for one weekend, which you never be in Vegas for anyway throughout the regular season. It gives that fan base there a reason to watch something. Unless but a team's not there, right? So that gives them a reason to watch something as well. And then for me, I think it's competitive. I think we've seen this around with the WNBA. You've seen this with the EPL and everything too. And with the Raptors, but the NBA kind of needed something that made the beginning of the season a little bit more interesting, because it is a little bit stagnant if you think about it. And as you're right, I mean, some people do look at it as this is time for the NFL.
I don't know. I think, like, the new implementation of playing 65 games minimum to be qualified for, major awards and all NBA. I think that's going to be a bigger factor to see you guys play.
Well, that's a rule.
That's a rule now. That's what I'm saying. That to me is going to draw more interest.
Would that not make them play for these games too? That's going to make them play for these games.
Well, yeah,
because
the group
now you're
play,
tied because those group plays and them being able to do that is tied to that.
But this is what I'm trying to say. That rule there does more for me to entice the regular season than an in-season tournament does. The fact they now require players to play 65 games, that makes me want to watch the regular season more because I know I'm going to have to see the biggest and best names at least 65 times a year, barring injury.
But
that is more for me than the in-season tournament.
But what you're saying is what's the downfall with that tournament though? What is it? Like, to give me one
I just think
solid
I think it's gimmicky. I just think it's gimmicky. Like, you don't need. You're trying to take something, like you mentioned, from Europe and bring it over here, right?
But it clearly works.
It works, but again, you're talking about tournaments and competitions in Europe for soccer that have been going for hundreds of years. The FA Cup in England, right, has been going on for years.
But it has to start somewhere.
But here's the thing: it's the luster of teams that are in the 4th division playing against the EPL giants. That's something unique and special. Playing 4 regular season games with these group teams and then going to a quarterfinal matchup and then going to Vegas for a weekend, I don't know. I just feel like I'll go into it this season with an open eyes and open arms to embrace it, but I have my reservations. I think it's too gimmicky.
I don't see where it could go wrong because I maybe it is gimmicky, but the thing is they've done it so well where there's not going to be any extra exertion on the players. Mm-hmm. They're going to have the exact same season as the year before. All they're doing is make their games that they would play regardless in November, but just competitive. And I guess you're right. I guess we'll see how much the players really buy into that.
The games already matter because in November and December,
so
they still all count for the standings.
Yeah, well, but Justin, it wasn't like that before, though, right?
But you also get playoff bonuses in your contract too.
Well, now they have to play 65 games. Okay, now they have that incentive as well as making extra money, form those accolades of All-Star MVPs, everything. But on top of that too, they're like, you know what? We'll give you an in-season tournament, and if you do well here too, there's incentive attached to it. All you have to do on top of that is play an extra game. I don't think there's.
It's not just an extra. They have to play an extra 3 games. You got to play a quarterfinal, semifinal, and final.
I don't think there's not much wrong with that. I think it's okay.
I don't know. Look, we'll see what happens. We'll see what transpires with the in-season tournament. Maybe you're right. Maybe I will like it. Maybe it will be something new, or maybe I'll hate it. But we don't know. But we'll be back with more hoop talks this week because the NBA season is right around the corner.